Speaking of the Astros, just a little bit, we're going to go talk about the Mariners by way of the Astros. They came storming back after being down 10 games a month ago. They took first place back by force from the Mariners. The Mariners were up 10 games. And in just 24 games, they lost it. They lost the lead. That is the fastest in Major League Baseball history. And you know what? If you're going to be the best, if you're going to be bad at something, be the best at being bad. That's kind of the mantra of the Seattle Mariners over the last, 50 years almost. We're not just going to be bad. We're going to be the best at being bad. We're going to go 20 some odd years without making the playoffs. We're going to have the longest streak. And you know what? We're going to be the last ones to get to the World Series. No, I'm not. I'm not going to go into this too much, but I'm not that salty of a Mariners fan, right? You just kind of get used to it. But let's talk about what's going on with the Mariners because it's getting to be really interesting. So after Sunday afternoon's game, Ty France has put on irrevocable outright waivers. This is after the Mariners won on Sunday. So what this means is the MLB teams, the 29 other teams, have 48 hours to claim Ty France. If he gets claimed, they'll have him the rest of the year and they'll pay his salary. If he doesn't get claimed, the Mariners can designate him for assignment and outright him to AAA at Tacoma, or they can still leave him on the active roster. If they decide to designate him for assignment or DFA him, he has 4 years of service time, so he could straight up decline that. He can be like, no, you guys are doing me dirty. I'm out. I'm going to go be a free agent, and I'm going to go play for somebody else. But if he accepts the assignment, he goes and spends the rest of the year in Tacoma, but he's no longer on the 40-man roster. So if he starts raking and hitting really well, the Mariners like, let's give Ty France another chance. Then they got to make a move on the 40-man roster to get him back up to the big league level. So a couple things. This is notable. Ty France was an all-star like a couple years ago. So there's that first off. And I said last year, back when we were doing the Seattle Baseball Together podcast, I was like, I'm really concerned that we've seen the best of Ty France, and that's exactly what had happened. He got injured. There was a collision at first base I believe it was against the A's, and I think he hyperextended hurt his elbow, and he missed some time for that. He hasn't been the same since. That was the end of it for him. Basically, they gave him a lot of chances. He didn't have a good year last year. He made some massive changes this offseason. He even trimmed down a little bit. I remember going to the backfields and seeing him at spring training, and I had my mom with me. She's like, "It's Ty France? You sure I'm positive that's Ty France? He lost some weight in the offseason, and he lost his power." So anyway, this feels like the first of a series of moves the Mariners are going to make, because you can't just let a 10-game lead disintegrate in 24 games. 24 games. 24 games. Let me say it for you one more time. 24 games. You've got to do something. And this is the frustration that I have with this team. They've been sitting here for so long, saying, oh, but we're in first place. All is well. No, the rest of the division was losing. You're calling the division the AL worst. Okay? You've got to take advantage, and you've got to run away with a division. You cannot win a division in April, May, or June, right? You have got to take advantage of the other teams in your division losing and make that lead as big as you can, 20, 25, 30 games if possible by the time September rolls around. Make it so you're out of reach. Do not sit on your laurels with a 10-game lead in June, because it can go away by the All-Star break. For the record, the Mariners were up 1 game going into the All-Star break. And even if it is fine, right? Even if the division is under wraps, you have a bunch of teams that aren't going to win. Make yourself better for the World Series, because you're going to go to the playoffs. You might as well be a World Series contender at that point. Make your moves. Get yourself better every single day. You know you have a weak offense. You know it is anemic. You've been talking about it since spring training, that your goal is to score 1 more run than your opponent to win games, thanks to your pitching staff. Thanks to your pitching staff, that only has to be 4 runs. So frustrating. It's so frustrating. You have a team that's the absolute worst at striking out in the entire league. They lead everybody. The top two of the top 3 guys in strikeouts in the American League are Seattle Mariners, Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez. The only thing they've done is they moved Mitch Garver from full-time DH to backup catcher to help him get off the bench and get moving around a little bit, hoping that L would get his bat going. Has it? A little bit, but not consistently. So one last thing. The Mariners traded reliever Mike Baumann to the San Francisco Giants for cash. If they don't take that cash and put it toward an impact bat and instead pocket it, I'm done with the Seattle Mariners until John Stanton sells the team. Of course, I say this, and it's not actually true. I had a friend, she texted me after the Mariners getting lost Saturday night. She's like, it's so painful to watch. I was like, watching the Mariners makes me hate baseball. What time's the game start tomorrow? Like, it's sports, right? It breaks our heart constantly and makes us so angry that we're just, especially during baseball season, there was that meme going around at the beginning of the season that it's like, oh, you lose one game in the NFL season. It's like, it's 1 of 17. You lose one game in a 162 game season of baseball. Like, no, this team sucks. DFA everybody, right? Like, it's the overreaction in a 162 game season. Your team is going to lose 55 games. They're probably going to win 55 games. What are they going to do those other 55? That's what matters. But you've got to be trying to win as many of those other 55 as you can. You cannot rely. Yes, generational pitching. This is one of the best pitching stats we've ever seen. I know that the Braves and that the Phillies have a lower team ERA, but really, 1 through 5, you want to face that in Seattle? Most days, no, you don't. So they've got to get better. They've got to get better, and they've got to make moves. With the trade deadline looming, Jerry DiPoto said there's not really a whole lot on the market to make a move for. Like, he's preparing us for, like, well, that's why we didn't make a move. You've got to. You cannot waste this pitching because you don't know if they're going to be healthy next year. You've got to make a move.